What's good, YouTube? This is Mad Dog TV. We back with another one. The Colorado Buffaloes offense is going to be very different and unique for this upcoming season in 2024. In specific, we're going to talk about the wide receivers. Now, before I give you guys my projections of wide receivers, I want you guys to understand why you should trust me for these projections. Now, for one, I have a great eye for wide receivers. My uncle James Williams played for the Marshall University, went off to play for the Seattle Seahawks, played for the Detroit Lions, ran a 4.3 40, very fast, great wide receiver. You're also looking on the screen as myself, played at the Spring League back in the time with Johnny Manziel. You guys know about Johnny Manziel and other professional football players in the Spring League. So yes, you can trust me. I know about the wide receiver position. But anyway, let's get to the video.
I understand what we're up against and what we have and what we need. One thing that I could say honestly and candidly, you better get me right now. This is the worst we're going to be. You better get me right now.
Coach Prime really did mean when he said, if you're going to get me now, you better get me. Because if you guys been paying attention to the channel for a very long time, you guys know I've been covering the Colorado Buffaloes from the beginning. And I know what receivers are going to go where. I also been watching Coach Prime aggression in the transfer portal. There's over 20 wide receivers that I know for sure can start for a football team at the Power 5 level. But in fact, only 3-4 wide receivers going to start at one time, and only one ball can be thrown. Now, there's no such thing as having too much talent or too much depth. Injuries happen, players get tired and all of those things. So I want to break down to you guys what goes on before spring camp so you guys can understand how these guys are going to compete. Now, depending on what style offense Pat Shurmur is going to run, going to tell us how many wide receivers are going to be on the field at one time.
Pat Shurmur named the 18th head coach in New York Giants history, and David, he comes with a lot of different interesting offensive concepts. We're going to get a look at his view of the passing game.
One of the things that you know about Pat Shurmur and his system, he loves 4 wide receivers, 3 wide receivers, and the pick and rub routes on the outside to open up things.
Let's just use this chart right here for an example. You have the X receiver, which is the outside receiver. You have the H receiver, which is the slot. And then you have the Z, which is the outside. Now, if they run 4 wide receivers, then they will have the X in the Z, which is the outside receivers, H in the Y, which is slot receivers. Now, guys like Jimmy Horn Jr., LaJohntay Wester, Cam, those guys can play at all of those slots. So I want you guys to understand, they don't just throw you out there and expect you to actually compete. They don't throw all the wide receivers in one pool and have them compete. You only compete according to the position you're trying to compete at. So if you have Travis Hunter and you have Javon Antonio, for an example, at the Z position, they have to compete at that side. If you have someone like Xavier Weaver, Adam Hopkins on the X receiver, they have to compete at that side. You see what I'm saying? So if you can do more than one thing, like a Jimmy Horn, LaJohntay Wester, you have a better chance to play because you can move and compete all over the field. So I hope you guys understand that part of the section of this video first. Now, let's talk about who do I feel like is going to be projected to start before spring camp. So without a doubt, Travis Hunter is definitely number one as far as the start for the spring camp of 2024. 57 catches, 721 yards, 12 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns. I'm sure you guys agree with me as well. Those numbers could have been absolutely better if he would have played the entire year. You guys know he took that cheap shot against Colorado State, left him out of the game for 4 or 5 games. So when he came back, he wasn't even 100%. So if he would have been able to play the whole entire year, he could have easily had over 100 catches, over 1,000 something yards, and that 5 touchdowns could have been up to like 10, 15. Travis Hunter's the real deal, and then you guys know he's also playing for that NFL draft. Next up we have is Jimmy Horn Jr. Jimmy Horn Jr., in my opinion, will be starting to start the season. Now, it's going to be his job to lose. You guys know they always give it to you. If you starting before spring camp, you're going to have the opportunity to start as far as moving forward, but it's up to you to lose that position. Now, Jimmy Horn Jr., I feel like will take accountability, play 100%. You guys know he has a lot to play for, his father and all of those things. One of the things that I say Jimmy Horn's lack is inconsistency. If he can be consistent, show up all game, because a lot of times he'll show up first and second quarter, third quarter he disappears. So he's going to have to be able to be consistent. Overall, I think he's going to be great. Now you guys are looking at Will Sheppard. Now Will Sheppard is very unique. He reminds me a lot of Xavier Weaver. Very similar style, very similar swagger as Xavier Weaver. 6'3", 198 pound wide receiver. He's a senior, and he's one of those guys I told you guys earlier in the clip where you can place him anywhere on the field. X, Y, Z, or H, you can put him there because he can run great routes. He understands how to read coverages. 48 receptions, 684 yards, 8 touchdowns. That tells me a lot in itself. He can definitely get open. I think his numbers will be a lot better with someone like Shedeur Sanders throwing him the football rather than the other guys that was throwing them at Vanderbilt. So I think the sky's the limit for him. And as I said before, he's a senior, so this is his draft year. You want to be able to put up great numbers so your draft stock can increase for the upcoming year NFL draft. And I think he can be a late 4th, 5th round, maybe even a 3rd round pick. But because we have so many wide receivers, I just feel like that it'd probably be like a 3rd, 4th round. LaJohntay Wester, guys, listen, he going to be on the football field. Whether you start him or not, you going to make sure you put your treat on the football field. He is different. He is absolutely phenomenal, guys. Over 108 yards, over 1,000 yards as far as total, 8 touchdowns, 10 yards per catch. The man can play kick return, punt return. Shedeur Sanders went out there and recruited him. That's why you know for a fact he will be on the football field. When your Heisman candidate, your starting quarterback, goes out and recruits you, you're going to be on the football field whether Mad Dog TV like it, his fans, the supporters like it or not. LaJohntay Wester will be on the football field because your Heisman candidate said so. So at the end of the day, he will be on the football field. And yes, I can tell you guys by watching the film, yes, I understand why he's going to be a difference maker. You can put him at wide receiver. He's one of those guys where I said you can put anywhere on the football field and you can be even more creative with. You can put him at quarterback if you want to, goddammit. You can put him at wildcat. He's the real deal. He's one of those guys you can put any single where on the football field besides the offensive line and defensive line, of course. But you guys get what I'm saying. He's the joystick. He's the guy where you just definitely have to put on the football field. He's a nightmare for defenses. I hope you guys understand the amount of emphasis that I'm putting into LaJohntay Wester. Yes, I'm almost losing my voice. He put up great video game numbers, and I'm telling you guys right now, when you turn the TV on, when Colorado's on offense, you do not want to leave the seat. When he touches the football, you want to make sure your 2 eyes is laid on the TV, including myself. That way, when we all see it together, we can talk about it post-game live, and we always do after the football games, especially if Colorado win that game. We can be even more excited. But yes, LaJohntay Wester is the beast. And last and final is Amarian Miller. Amarian Miller, in my personal opinion, is a sleeper. We saw what he was able to do against USC, and I felt like what he was able to do against USC, which I'm going to get to in a second, should have been the momentum to carry him to that starting role at the wide receiver position. Miller finished with 196 yards and a touchdown on 7 catches in Colorado's loss. We saw what he's been doing in practice. I mean, dominating guys like Travis Hunter. The man can definitely play. I just feel like he's one of those sleepers, and he's probably can be one of those sleepers that can go on to the NFL as well. He has that capability and that talent, being that undrafted wide receiver. If he don't get a lot of playing time at Colorado, definitely can find himself playing in the NFL. I see it all the time. I played with one of the guys, Malcolm Butler, who was undrafted from West Alabama and went off to be the Super Bowl hero for the New England Patriots. So just because you get drafted doesn't mean that you're automatically locked in. And just because you go undrafted doesn't mean you're automatically not getting that chance. So at the end of the day, you just got to keep grinding, man. And it's upcoming guys we have, I didn't mention, is we have guys like Baby T.O. that I feel like can definitely find his way on the role as far as on the roster. There's so many wide receivers, man, that I didn't mention that definitely can find themselves in the rotation. And it's going to be up to what they do when they arrive at camp. I'm going to do my best to get out there, get you guys some live coverage, and we'll see what happens with this competition, man. The competition is on now. It's up to these guys to claim their position. If you guys like the video, definitely like, subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment. Let me know who you guys feel should be the projected starters at wide receiver. Peace.